It's something that I think pretty much everyone has experience with. It's something that is part of just about everybody's life. That is that topic of, of work. And as we're sitting here this evening out here in Vermont, next to this campfire after a good day, good long day, um, it's good to take some time to consider this topic of work. And whether you know this or not, the Bible has a lot to say about work. It has a lot to say about vocation, about what we do with our time. Actually, the Bible is very pro-work, right from the very beginning. First of all, God is a worker. Jesus said, "My Father is always working, and I too am working." But the way God created us as his image bearers right from the start, he created us to work. God made man in his own image. He made Adam and Eve, placed them in the garden, and then put them to work, made them gardeners. Not only are they gardeners taking care of the Garden of Eden, but they're called to be stewards over all of the creation. And that means naming the animals and ruling over all that is, taking care of it. And even when we read the Old Testament, there is this idea of work. 6 days you shall work, and on the seventh you rest. There is this place of work. That all different vocations, whether that of art, those who build the temple, carpenters, constructors, farmers, those who are the priests, the scribes, all different types of work come together and are means by which we serve the Lord. And then when we come to the New Testament, we see the same thing, that Jesus himself works. He has a trade. He begins life as a carpenter and then becomes, of course, begins his 3-year itinerant ministry in which he's working. He is a rabbi, he's a teacher, and he is the one, of course, who goes to the cross for us, dies in our place, rises from the dead, does the work of salvation in our behalf. And then Christians are called to work. We're called to work with all of our heart as if working for the Lord. In fact, the idea of idleness, the opposite of work, laziness, is specifically condemned, particularly in 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. And then the way the whole picture of the Christian life ends is that we're in glory. And what are we doing in glory? We're serving the Lord there, whether that's just worshiping the Lord or being entrusted. Those who have been faithful with a little will be entrusted with much. What are we going to be doing for eternity? Doing some type of work. So work is a good thing. But like anything, work has its balance as well. And there's that idea of life being more diverse than just work. Just thinking about sitting for this campfire, what happens to these logs, right? I mean, eventually they burn out. They burn through. If I take this log and throw it in here, that log is not going to last forever. After a while, that log will burn out. It will use up, just like us when we work and how we spend our days. We'll use up our energy. We'll use up our vitality, our life. And what will we have done with it? See, I think there is something ingrained in every one of us to want to accomplish something, to want to produce, create, to be able to look back at the end of a day and say, something is there that wasn't there before, right? Whether that's a product or a business that's been strengthened, or a customer that's satisfied with a new product, or whatever it is. If you're involved in politics, that you've made the city, the locality, the country a better place. At the end of the day, the week, the year, the decade, you look back and see something accomplished. You built a wall, you built a house, you installed an electric system, you've done something with your time. And that's a good thing, and we want to work. In fact, I think it's actually extremely dangerous not to work. Those who retire too early, or those who have too much left in the log, right? There's too much energy too much vitality left, and they stop working for whatever reason, laziness or whether that's injury even. They struggle with feelings of depression. They struggle with feeling like they're useless. They're no longer able to contribute. There's this feelings of depression, and sometimes even suicidal. And that's because there's something ingrained in us that wants to work, wants to produce, and that's good. And really, friends, I'm a pastor. That's my job, and I know that's different than a lot of people, but the same is true of my job. I want to go to work. I love my job, and I want to accomplish something. I want to see a church that's strengthened, a church that's maturing, that's growing healthier, that people are being ministered to, and a community is being ministered to, that we're meeting needs like people's need for food or clothing, or people who are struggling and lonely and their needs are being met. Those who have recently come out of prison are finding a discipleship program and finding fellowship together. Those who are pregnant moms in the community, that the single moms are being cared for in our a pregnancy care center. We want to see something happen. We want to see something accomplished, and that is good. But that's just specifically ministry. But we're all called to a vocation, and we're all called to use part of our vitality. Part of the way we burn away the log that we have been given of life is by our jobs, and I think that's a good thing. And I just encourage, especially if you're young, find something that you love to do. Find something that you're good at doing, and find something that is productive, that contributes, that works towards a service to others, a greater good, helps, whether that's just moving the technological world forward, or again, providing someone a home, whether that's being a real estate agent or on the construction end or on the banking end, helping get out mortgages, whatever it is. Do something that you're good at, you're passionate about, and that is productive, that is good. And there is nothing like that feeling of knowing you're part of this world, in this world but not of it, and actually contributing for good. But there are limitations, right? So here's one of the big struggles we have, is that we tend to want to burn out our entire log with our jobs. And I get it. There is a desire to say, I want to leave my mark in this world. I want to accomplish something. And to do that, I need to just burn the log entirely towards that end. You look at some of the great people who have done so much, like think of Bill Gates. Bill Gates said he didn't believe in weekends or holidays in the early part of his work life. Elon Musk, I think he said he worked 20 hours a day or something like that, in order to accomplish so much. I get it. I feel that pull, that something dragging me in that direction. Here's the problem with that, friends, is that there is so much else that is a good use of how you burn out that vitality and that life that you have been given. In fact, I think it's actually can be dishonoring to God to make our job everything. God has put sort of limits on us again and again. I'll give you an example. So you every day you need to sleep. Every day. Now you could go one day, maybe even 2 days, maybe even 3 days without any sleep whatsoever. But you know what I'm talking about. On a regular basis, every day we have to shut down the machine. We have to stop working, stop functioning, close our eyes, and go into sleep mode. Right? Every day. Why? Because God reminds us that we're limited creatures. Can't do everything. And there is a part in which we are shut down and vulnerable and unable to accomplish much because we're sleeping. Every day. But not only that, every week. Right? That's why we have the Sabbath. That's why we take 1 day in 7 as a day set aside for rest, for worship, but also for rest. Why? Because we can't work 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We will burn that log out too fast. We will destroy the vitality that we have been given, and eventually probably more damage than we can do good in this world. So there are, friends, limitations. And then there's annual limitations. We see this in the Bible, that there are extended times away from the regular, typical day. There is the Festival of Booths. I love that one, where you basically live out there in tents. You go camping for a while, right? You separate, you turn away from your regular duties, and you rest, or you give the land a rest every so many years as well. Sabbath is built into creation. God himself rests 1 and 7 in the creation of the world. That's the picture given to us. Not because God needs to rest. God can create all of the universe in a millisecond. He doesn't even need time to do it. Why did he do it in this? Why is it pictured to us in these 6 days and a day of rest? For our sake, as the way God has wired us demands that time of rest. But not only that, it's not only that we need to rest. There are other things to do with life besides work. We've talked about marriage. If you want a good, healthy marriage, you need to invest your time in it. You want to have a side of romance and companionship. You need to spend time with your wife and enjoy her. If you're a man, and vice versa, of course, if you're a woman, spend time with your husband and enjoy that relationship. Enjoy love. Which is such an important part of life. The same thing with your friendships. Are you enjoying that time with friends? And if you're just a one-sided, one-dimensional person whose only focus is to work, 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 you're missing out on what it means to be human, what it means to be alive, what it means to be made in the image of God and a creature in his presence. And then there's kids. If you never invest anything in your kids, you're not spending time discipling them, raising them up, caring for them. You've misunderstood. You've made work too important, and you've missed out on another area in which you burn out your vitality, and that is the way you care for your kids. And then there's just hobbies. It's just getting out there and seeing the world. You could look back at your life when you're old, retired, maybe even nearing death, and say, you know what? I accomplished a lot at my job, but I've never seen the Himalayas. I've never walked on the Great Wall of China. I've never seen the great beasts of Africa. I've never, been to New Zealand or Australia. You've never seen the world. You never took the time away from work and seeing what this world is really all about. Never explored all of the beautiful, amazing creatures God has made, right? You never did any bird watching. I'm not really into bird watching that much, but some people really are. Never got out there and seen the beautiful creation of God. Never been to the national parks. Never been to historical monuments and reflected on the fact that we're not the first generation to ever be here. You didn't take that time to use some of that vitality, that limited vitality God has given us, for anything other than your job. And I think there's a great danger in doing that. And the truth of the matter is, of course, as we sort of bring together different areas, whether that's our hobbies and exploration and adventure, they play into our work, depending on what you do. And they can actually make you a more effective manager, a more effective employee, more effective whatever tradesman, whatever profession you've been called to. So here's my advice, friends. I know there's a pull, and I feel it, a pull towards devoting, just throwing your entire life into your work and making that everything that is. Burn the whole log towards that, and then you feel like you can really accomplish something. But that is not how God calls us to use life. Use it. Whatever you do, work with all your heart as working for the Lord. Do it and do it well. But life is about more than that. Well, I got to remind you, and just like when we talk about parenting, when we talk about marriage, we're going to mess up. We're going to mess up. We're going to either be lazy and not devote enough time and energy into our jobs, which is not good for our soul, Not only is it's dishonoring to God, and it's not good for our own soul. We're lazy, we're idle, or we are overworked. We have made everything about our job. And I'm enjoying this sabbatical right now. I know that not everybody gets an opportunity to do something like this, to step away from their job for a few months actually, and to focus on other things, writing, studying, just prayer and reflection. And that's just a great gift. I know everyone can't do that, but I'm just saying, here's an opportunity to step back from my regular work and to really see and experience more than just my job, and to be reminded that life is about more than that productivity, as important as that is. There's more to who we are. There's more to why we are. God has made us and put us onto this earth. He's made us to enjoy Him. Yes, through our job. Yes, through our work, but also through these other areas. So friends, here's what I would just want to conclude this section on. We work, and it honors God when we work. And we burn out the log, and the log will be burned out in the end. And we will come to our end. We'll come to death, which is going to be the next section. We don't live forever in this world. And sometimes we approach our job as if we think we're going to live forever, as if we can just do this endlessly. And before you know it, retirement will be upon us. And then not long after that is the other side of the grave. But when it comes to the work of salvation, when it comes to saying, what do I have to do to be pleasing to God, to get into glory? What do I have to accomplish? What do I have to produce? What labor is necessary in order for me to spend eternity with the Lord? The answer in the Bible is clear. That work is done, finished, completed in our behalf. It's finished by God. And this is just something we need to remind ourselves again and again as Christians, friends. What am I doing with my job? What am I doing with my life? And however I spend burning out the log that God has given me, the vitality I have. I'm trying to honor God with this time. But ultimately, the work that really matters, the work of saving grace, has already been finished and completed by Christ. And I'm just enjoying that. I'm just trying to be faithful and persevere faithfully to the end. But the key work, the key accomplishment and production and productivity that needed to be done has been finished and completed for me. And now everything I do should be done basically as an act of worship, basically as a way of pleasing my Heavenly Father, not trying to please God in some eternal meriting system, but rather as a father who delights in his children. How do I live in a way that honors and pleases God? How do I burn out the rest of this log that God has given me in a way that pleases Him, so when that day, that final day comes, God looks and says, well done. Well done, good and faithful servant. Thanks, guys. I love you. I hope you're killing it at your job. I hope you're being successful. I hope you're doing well, and you're doing it to the glory of God, and you're balancing that with other aspects of life, like your family and exploration and adventure and creativity and your hobbies and seeing the world and meeting new people. And hopefully you end up burning out your log in a way that magnifies God, in which He will say to you, well done, good and faithful servant. God bless.